We're red and ready. We're red and ready. We are the People's National Movement, a movement for development, a place where every creed and race will always find an equal place. So when you vote and vote with confidence, no distractions from opponents. Put your finger by the body, say vote PNM election day because great is the PNM. Great.
Thank you very much, Laurel. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, political leader of the People's National Movement, and prospective candidate for Diego Martin West and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Dr. the Honorable Nyan Gatsby Dolly, Minister of Community Development, Culture and the Arts, and candidate for the electoral district of St. Anne's East, my sister. Mr. Jason Williams, JW, JW. Let's hear it for JW. The candidate, the winning candidate for Barataria San Juan. Left radio, and now he talking a different talk. Minister Donna Cox, my partner in crime at the COVID press conferences. Sister, I love you. I love you. Mr. Anthony Roberts, the chairman of the San Juan Laventille Regional Corporation. And JW, I see you have your cheering section here tonight, boy. Very well. I have a brief tonight. Prime Minister asked me to report on health. But I am going to take a little liberty. I will report on health, but I'm going to report to you on health from a position of thanksgiving and giving thanks. First of all, I would like to give thanks to God and Creator and my Savior, Jesus Christ. The past 5 years that He has given me have been the most productive of my life. Secondly, and even before I thank the Prime Minister, I would like to thank my wife. My wife of 37 years, who is here with me tonight. Right here. Then I would like to thank my Prime Minister for giving me the honor to serve in his cabinet as the Minister of Health. And lastly, I would like to thank the people of St. Joseph for the signal honor of being their representative for 5 years, and for giving me the honor to serve. Because what we do in public life is serve. Health is an awesome responsibility. An awesome responsibility. You are responsible for the lives of 1.4 million people. Think about it. Who would want that job? I hear people say, not me. You have the third biggest budgetary allocation of $6 billion to spend. That is the size and enormity of this task. But we could talk about money, but the question is, how does that money filter down to where it is needed? The man and woman on the street who depend on this free public health service, which we only now recognize is one of the best in the world. We only now recognize that. And for that, my thanksgiving again, I want to thank every single nurse, every single doctor, every single wards maid, every single ambulance driver, every single security guard, every single CEO, every single healthcare worker, because you have shown the world what Trinidad and Tobago is. Ladies and gentlemen, let us go back to the ugly days pre-2015. We're having a conversation. Anybody in the audience tell me what was the biggest health crisis facing Trinidad and Tobago? Anybody? Call it out, shout it out. You see, all you forget. That's my wife, Infant mortality, but more importantly, maternal mortality. When we came into office, women were dying in our hospitals, giving birth by the 10s, by the 14s, by the 8s, by the 9s. Babies were dying, what you call neonates. A neonate is a child that you're born now within 28 days of life. Neonates were dying at the rate of 15 children per 1,000 births. Yeah, I hear people say, oh, good. But because we have been successful, you have forgotten about those dark days. Because the People's National Movement fixed that. You don't hear about it again. And let me tell you the numbers. The same way Oxford University judged us as number 1 on COVID, the United Nations sets countries' targets to hit. So we were supposed to hit certain targets for maternal mortality and infant mortality by 2015, called the Millennium Development Goals, or MDGs, for maternal mortality and infant mortality. Well, hear what? We missed them. We passed it straight. Then they set what is called Sustainable Development Goals to be hit by 2030. They gave Trinidad and Tobago certain targets for women not dying in hospitals and neonates not dying to be hit by 2030. Well, hear what? Your government, led by this Prime Minister, who approves every single note sent to him, including the setting up of the Directorate of Women's Health, we hit our targets by 2018, 12 years early. But what does that mean for you and the man on the street? It means that every year, between 6 and 10 women who you know, your sisters, are now alive because they're not dying by the 10s and 12s in the hospital, giving birth. It means that 100 children per year are now alive because we dropped neonatal mortality rates from 15 per 1,000 to now 7 per 1,000. We cut it by 50%. And now, under Dr. Rowley, we have to get those targets even lower. But I need the population to help me out in this. One of the reasons we cannot drive maternal mortality rates down lower is this. Too many women who use and depend on the public health system present too late for their first medical checkup when they are pregnant. 40% of the women in our system come only in the 2nd and 3rd trimester. It means we cannot track their diabetes. They have uncontrolled high blood pressure. We need to track them. So I am appealing, if we are to drive those figures down, we need more women to come earlier. That is what we have done. We are a world leader now. As I give thanks again, non-communicable diseases, commonly called NCDs. Trinidad and Tobago is a hotbed. Everybody have diabetes, hypertension, we too, cancers. Let me tell you what this government has done on the NCD front. Our children, we have a pediatric children diabetes, obesity problem. I went to the cabinet. Dr. Keith Rowley, as chairman of the cabinet, approved a note to ban the sale of sugar drinks in schools. Do you know what that has resulted in? Let me give you the figures. It has resulted in a 20% reduction in the number of soft drinks children are now drinking. What does that mean for the long-term health of our children, the future of tomorrow? They will live longer. they will live a healthier life. Healthier children, healthier adult. So the PNM is the right choice not only for mothers in the hospital, babies in the hospital. PNM is the right choice for our school children. Take that. Let us talk about cancer for a minute. Let's show if I ask everybody here, put up your hand if you know somebody with cancer. Let me see your hands. Almost every hand has gone up. We adopted, through cabinet notes, a program of early cancer screening, cancer treatment, and we opened the new LINAC in St. James 3 weeks ago. But what will make the difference to your lives is early cancer screening. That is, get tested to know if you have cancer. And the earlier we catch you, the better we could treat you, the better quality of life you will lead. Listen to these figures. In 2015, when we came in, there were 24,495 cancer screens done in Trinidad and Tobago. 2019, hear what? It went up to 41,879. That is a 71% increase. We screened 17,384 more people. We did more with less. So when we say the PNM is the right choice, that is the right choice. We did more with less. And we did that with no corruption. Just what? Performance. Do you want that to stop? Do you want that to continue? Good. Go back to 2015 again. Time machine. Let me go back. Outside of maternal mortality and infant mortality, what was the next biggest issue facing especially the lower income people in Trinidad and Tobago? Anybody could remember? You can't remember because we solved it. Something called CDAP. Almost every citizen depends on CDAP for free medication to manage their hypertension, their diabetes, their asthma. Do you know what the last government did in their last year before the election? They took up the dispensing fee for CDAP. So if a prescription has 5 items on it, and they take it to the pharmacy used to get $8 to dispense every item. So if you have 5 items, they get 8 by 5, $40. They took that up to $13. But you couldn't get drugs. You know what we did? We reduced that fee to $8, and we pumped those $5, $10, $15 million into what? Into drugs. You realize now you don't hear about CDAP? Because you fix it. You fix it. Very few complaints. That is what this government did in the health sector. Another initiative which we launched. Everybody here has somebody, a granny, an uncle, man in the street, who always want what surgery for their eyes? Cataract surgery. Cataract surgery. Somebody who can't see or seeing blurry, walking down steps and falling down, the elderly. They need their cataract surgery, and they need it free, and they need it when? They need it now. In 2015, we were doing 2019 cataract surgeries. But here what used to happen? They used to farm out a lot of it to the private sector and pay for it. I say, we're doing more with less. We're bringing it back into the hospitals. And by 2019, we did 3,500. We increased it by 23%. That's an extra 652 cataract. There's hundreds of people now have the gift of sight. The gift of sight, their quality of life. So for the elderly, like the children, like the cancer patient, who is the right choice? The People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, before I talk about other issues, one of the most significant policy decisions this cabinet took, and I'll show you if I ask again, I'm not going to ask because nobody will guess it. one of the most significant policy decisions this government took. And unless you have a relative with this condition, you will not appreciate what I'm about to say. That is, how do we deal with the vexing issue and the stigma and discrimination that goes with the whole issue of mental health? You see, mental health is like you have a child or something you don't like, you just shove it in a corner and don't come out, you shove it in a cupboard, you lock it away. That is how we used to deal with mental health. We have been talking about revolutionized mental health in Trinidad since the 1960s. We took a note to cabinet about decentralization of mental health, and the process has started. But I want the process to continue after August 10th, 2020. Therefore, the only person who could do that is who? Dr. Keith Rowley and his cabinet. Decentralization of mental health is a priority area. It is transformational. And we are going to stop calling it mental health because that alone is stigmatizing. It will now be called behavioral health wellness services. And with that, we could change the way we deal with things like schizophrenia, depression, anxiety. This is a key program that we have to keep going because the person, it's like diabetes. If we catch you too late, we have to amputate your leg, right? Hypertension, if you catch you too late, difficult to treat. But if we catch the person, just like early cancer screening, early in the development of mental issues, the outcome is better. And when we decentralize, they go back into the communities, into the bosoms of their families. The plan has to continue, and the government of Dr. Keith Rowley will continue that, I am sure. So that is what some of the $6 billion was used for. Those are the policies that this government attended to. But there's a lot more to be done. Let's turn our attention now to infrastructure, hospitals. Because unless we talk hospitals, nobody thinks we're talking health, right? Trinidad and Tobago has about 3,000 hospital beds across our system. But that is due to be increased by about another 500 to another 600 in the next couple of years. Let me explain. Arima Hospital will be operationalized by the end of the month. 150 beds. 150 beds. We built it, we financed it. Point Fortin Hospital to be operationalized by the end of the month. 100 beds. We built it, we financed it, and between those two hospitals, we saved the taxpayer $500 million in UDCOT fees alone. We ain't touch a square foot of space. Ask yourself the question, where was that $500 million in UDCOT fees were going? We did more, and we did more, and we did more, but with less. The new Sangre Grande Hospital, we turned salt for that last year. Let Dr. Rowley open that in 2021, please. The new Central Block, successive governments totally abandoned that project and pretended the danger to life and limb didn't exist. I took the note to the Prime Minister, the cabinet. 540-bed tower is going up now as we speak. I want Dr. Rowley to open that in 2022. The Linac, which Dr. Rowley opened 2 weeks ago, $84 million for cancer. Diego Martin Health Center. So if you want health to progress, the right choice is who? The People's National Movement. Only you have the power, as my colleague said. If you don't vote and exercise your franchise, how will these things continue? COVID, as we talk about Thanksgiving, I am giving thanks tonight. I am not giving thanks for COVID, but I'm giving thanks for the leadership of Dr. Keith Rowley in treating with COVID. It is said often that disasters show up character. That is what COVID did to this country. It showed the character of my political leader, my Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. It reached the point where the Blavatnik School of Government, which is a school of Oxford University, one of the top universities of the world, judged Trinidad and Tobago #1 in the world to come out from its lockdown because of the leadership of this man to my right here. But let me tell you what it means. They look at countries and they assess you on certain parameters with a maximum score of 1. We got 0.8 for testing, tracing, and isolation. 0.8 out of 1 is fabulous. Eh? We got 0.9 for community understanding, the way Dr. Rowley led us in talking to the people, in communicating to the people. And I have to thank my colleague again, Senator Cox, who was by my side for all these press conferences. But we scored a perfect 10 or a perfect 1 in this area, management of imported cases and control. Listen to that. The way we managed how cases came into the country, how we controlled it, Trinidad and Tobago got a perfect score of 1. Do you want that to continue, or do you want someone who promised to just open the borders, open the bars, take you to court because a rum shop closed? That is what you want? You are going to risk the future of Trinidad and Tobago on that? COVID-19 taught us a lot of things, but it taught us about the mettle of the man called Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. He deserves a second chance because COVID ain't finishing on August the 10th. Eh? On August the 10th, when you wake up on August 11th, COVID is still around. Eh? August the 12th, COVID is still around. Eh? But those who want to unseat this government are telling you, open the borders, no problem. Open the bars, no problem. It is the sunshine that will save you. We say no. We say absolutely no. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is my thanksgiving for health. But I must give thanks now to St. Joseph, a community that I have served faithfully now for 7 years. I want to thank Minister Nyan Gatsby-Dolly. We are building the community center in Cayman. Thank you. I want to thank you for refurbishing the Curup Community Center. Thank you. I want to thank you for starting the long-awaited My Tower Community Center. Thank you. I'm giving thanks. I want to thank you for taking down that big canvas that the contractor who was building the Mount Hope Community Center, for those of you that facing the Eastern Main Road, the contractor put up a big canvas about 1,000 feet wide and 1,000,000 feet long, begging the UNC to pay him to finish the community center. Remember that? Who paid and who finished it? Dr. Nyan Gatsby-Dolly. Thank you. Thank you very much. We want to thank St. Joseph for the new police station, the railings, the pathways, the bridges. But I want to warn the people of St. Joseph. I want to warn the people of St. Joseph. Think back to 2013 for the by-election. Kamla Prasad-Bissessar and Ian Allen started 23 projects in My Tower, Quarry Drive, Quarry Road, Cayman. They started 23 projects to fool people for voting for Ian Allen. The day they lost that by-election, you know what they did? They passed and picked up all the material. They're done. They're done with St. Joseph. Nothing for you. We want continuity because we have more work to do. And we want 5 more years to finish off all that infrastructure. 5 more years. We have more work to do. The last thing I want to talk about in St. Joseph is this. As an MP, as Dr. Rowley is an MP, Nayan is an MP, and JW will be an MP, yes, he will be an MP. The number one issue people come to you for what is housing. Somebody asked me, what are we doing about low-income housing in our town hall meeting I had? So let me see. In St. Joseph, the PNM built East Grove under Dr. Keith Rowley, who was the Minister of Housing. We built Pioneer Courts. We built Breezy Heights. We built Sunrise Courts. The UNC stopped North Grove because they don't want housing in St. Joseph. We are now building Mahogany Courts, 160 units for middle-income people. You have an income of between $7,000 to $12,000 a month. That is for you. But let's come down the income scale. We just launched in Pioneer Drive the Small and Medium Contractors Initiative in Pioneer Drive. So it's a pioneering project in Pioneer Drive. What are the benefits? The benefits are not only housing, but the contracts go not to the big fellas, the contracts go to the small man so they can get a piece of the pie. The small. So it nurtures small businesses. And those units will cost about $500,000. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. So you know who could aspire to that? The nutsman, the tradesman, the plumber, the gardener. So that's low-income housing. But the most, as I close, the most important housing development in St. Joseph is not low-income housing. You know what it is? No-income housing. All are looking confused. Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley and his cabinet started a program in Moruga where once you have a plot of land, ownership of land, you could swear it in the affidavit, the land is yours. The government will build a house for you to the value of $120,000. All you need to put in is your sweat equity. I will give you one example. Because you see, if you are 70 years old, if you are 60 years old, you cannot qualify for what? A mortgage. TTMF, no bank giving you a mortgage. If you are unemployed, I have one man in St. Joseph, and he went public so I could say it. Visually impaired, 73 years old. He had this plot of land. We put up the house, hurricane specifications, earthquake specifications. Dr. Rowley, that man took me on a tour of his house, and he was bursting with pride. At 73 years old, cannot see that he now owns a house. That is why we are the right choice. We believe in equity. Equity. That is what we did for St. Joseph. So my advice for you this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, as I finally give thanks, my address of thanksgiving, I thank the Almighty, I thank my wife, I thank my political leader, and I thank the good people of St. Joseph, and I ask you, on the night of August 10th, when you re-elect the People's National Movement in St. Joseph, when you re-elect a PNM government, when you give Dr. Keith Rowley a second term, we will all rise and say what? Great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail. Thank you very much.
We're ready and ready. We are the People's National Movement.